So we know that Molly won't be with us tonight, and I know that James should be here because he was just at the Public Safety Committee. We'll give James another moment before we launch.
And Tracy's on, but not sharing his camera.
Yeah, but it's all right. I'm here in spirit.
Okay.
So long as the spirits aren't in you yet, Tracy, we're good.
So I heard that at the last meeting, Toby got back from Alaska. Any word on how he did?
Well, he's got about 50 pounds of fish in his freezer.
Multiple types, or
He didn't say, but you know, one flounder could be 50 pounds.
well, when I was up there a couple of weeks ago, I reeled in a 102-pound halibut, but that doesn't mean it brings back 102 pounds of halibut meat.
No, but he had a great time. He was also doing some building up there, so for his in-laws.
Very good.
All right, well, it is 6 o'clock, friends, and we know that we expect James will, as soon as he gets off his Harley, he'll probably join us. So Grant, if you'll do the honors of putting up the flag, we could get this thing underway. Council, would you join me in a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and
and
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know how those people do that, where they get all of the musicians to create those beautiful tableaus all in sync, because we were nothing synced just then. It was a lot of echo effect, but thank you. Let's call the meeting of the Yelm City Council for July 28th, 2020 to order. Lori, will you take the roll, please?
Councilmember James Blair. Councilmember Molly Carmody.
Will be absent.
Councilmember EJ Curry.
Here.
Councilmember Tad Stillwell.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky.
Here.
Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here, and ask for James Blair again. He's just come on.
Councilmember James Blair.
Here. All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Carmody did call in to say that she wouldn't be able to attend.
I move we excuse Councilmember Carmody this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The records show that Councilmember Carmody was excused by the rest of council from tonight's meeting. We have an agenda before us. Are there any requests to amend the agenda?
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. Very good. I am looking over at, we have no special presentations tonight, so I'm looking at the attendees to see if any hands go up to be recognized for public comment. This would be the time during the meeting which members of the community could address City Council on any item. If the item were on the agenda, would wait to have them make their comments during that part of the meeting. If it's not agended, they could make their comments now. So again, if anyone in the listening audience wants to address the council, now would be the time to raise your hand. And seeing none and having none requested prior to the meeting, we will move on from public comment and go to the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes from the July 7th and 14th meetings and the financial report, council of vouchers, which you've all been able to peruse in your packet.
I move we approve tonight's consent agenda.
I second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's what the consent agenda does. Good job. Under new business, number A, the ordinance 1063, affordable and supportive housing and rental assistance. And Tammy will present to us on that. There she is.
Still muted.
This is the universal
Thank
sign
you.
for
Good
unmute
evening.
yourself, Tammy.
Well, I was trying to look at the camera and not the screen, and guess that my nerves are showing a little bit being my first time on virtual presentations. But first, I'd like to say good evening, and it's good to see you all. And before you tonight, you have an ordinance 1063, and this ordinance would be to create a new fund and amend and delete sections of Title III of the Yelm Municipal Code in order to receive taxes to be used for affordable housing. Back in 2019, the state legislature adopted House Bill 1406, which allowed sharing of state sales tax revenue with local jurisdictions to be used for affordable housing. These funds can be used, they're limited in their use by being able to be used by acquiring, rehabilitating, and constructing affordable housing, operations and maintenance of new affordable or supportive housing facilities, rental assistance, and must be spent on projects that serve persons whose income is at or below 60% of the area's median income. This tax is the tax that sales tax that the state gets, and so it's not a new tax, nor is it an increased tax to the residents of Yelm. So in order to receive these funds, we need to create a fund and then also be able to assure that its use is for affordable housing within the city. In January, the council adopted resolution 604, which showed their intent that they would adopt this ordinance, and the ordinance needs to be adopted by today to be able to receive these funds. And I think that's about it, unless you have other questions, but it would be staff's recommendation to adopt ordinance 1063.
Council, I see Council Member Stillwell first, and then we'll go with Council Member DePinto.
Thank you, Tammy. I just want to be sure that we understand that these funds, it's my understanding, they can be accumulated over time to do a larger scale project as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. They can be accumulated for up to 20 years. And if funds are not used at the end of the year, they need to be rolled over into the same fund and can be accumulated. They cannot be moved to any other fund.
Thank you.
Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Tammy, I know you briefed me on this before, and I appreciate it, and I'm all in support of this proposal. And I was wondering, and I just want to reiterate one thing to people listening. This is not a new tax. Be very clear about that. This is something that is already in place, but we need to go ahead and get our fair share of the money for these affordable housing projects in this fund. Is that accurate, Tammy?
Correct. We need to have the ordinance which adopts this to be able to assure that it's used correctly and to create the fund that holds these, a fund in our account that holds these funds, and so they can be accumulated over the years.
Thank you. And does this mean that these funds are at the will of the council, or is it funds that are available to the mayor to spend however he fits in his day-to-day operations? Does it require a vote or anything? It's just to spend it?
Well, in the ordinance, there is a section that talks about how the funds will be determined, who gets them, and how they'll be distributed. And the ordinance, I'm trying to scroll to see. And my computer just says I don't have enough memory, so I can't go to the page on the ordinance. But it says it will create, here we go, that we would create a committee that would look at the funds and be able to review the applications for the use of them. and make sure that they're distributed appropriately. The recommendation of that committee would go to council for decision.
Who would make up that committee? Is it list that, or is it just up to the council and mayor?
Well, presently, it's listed in the ordinance as the homelessness task force would be the group that would first advise on this, but we could change that. Council could change that at their discretion.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I just had a glitch and my agenda and ordinance disappeared from my screen. So I was trying to quickly get it from the agenda package.
Well,
Thank you, Tammy.
Councilmember Kaminsky?
Sorry, I must have unmuted. I must have done it the opposite way. I move that we adopt this ordinance 1063 for affordable housing.
Second.
Somebody wave their fingers at the mayor, please.
Now that's funny right there. So the correct wording of the ordinance is in the recommendation. I would ask Councilmember Kaminsky to read the recommendation from the report so that we could have that in the record as such.
I can't do that. I don't have it in front of me and I'm scared to touch my computer. So would somebody else please do it? Tracy?
I'll go ahead and read it, and if you'll say that's the recommendation that you're making in your motion.
Okay.
The recommendation from staff is that council adopts ordinance 1063, amending Title III of the Yelm Municipal Code to create a new fund, and amending, deleting, and adding new sections to Title III of the Yelm Municipal Code.
That's exactly what I meant.
And I'll second that. I was about ready to say those exact words or something there in the verbatim.
Excellent. Is there any other discussion by council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance passes. Thank you, Tammy, for that presentation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and now let's see if we'll move on to new business B, which is the 2020 budget amendment. And she'll also take C as she moves on. Heidi?
Hello, I'm trying to share my screen. Grant, can I get permission? It still says disabled. Oh, there we go. So today I am going to present the July 2020 budget amendment. It is basically a housekeeping amendment that focuses on the CARES funding, correcting of or writing of the debt service funds, some custodial disbursements from a prior year, and the complete disclosure of Fund 431 that was included in the budget. It had more, well, I'll get to that. Exhibit A is the budget amendment summary. So for the general fund, we added the CARES revenue that we received and nearly $30,000 in additional permit revenue for the middle school project. We also increased the court legal services. We had to do this because there was a miscommunication, and we also have a new contract that increases a little, so this makes it right where it should be. We're spending the CARES and the community support. Then there's $40,000 for plan review for the middle school project, $89,000 in custodial disbursements for prior and current periods, and a transfer out to the long-term general obligation debt service fund. In the long-term general obligation bond redemption fund, we're getting $100,000 in revenue, and we have $148,000 in debt service in that fund that needs to be reflected in the budget. In the water utility fund, we transfer out 70,000 to the water revenue debt service fund. And then we get that money in, and we have an additional 58,000 that needs to be included in the budget for debt service. The water capital improvement fund expenditures, there is an increase of 45,000 for Mill Road, which is based on what it's actually going to cost us, and 200,000 for the water main extension. And initially we had thought that this was going to be done in 2021, but it's actually going to be done this year. So for the water construction fund, we're going to, that is Fund 431, and that was meant to be closed in 2019 in the budget cycle, but it had more interest income than our expenditures allowed. So that's why it's in here. So we're going to transfer the remaining $1,100 into the Water Capital Fund 404. And that's just cleaning up our account so we don't have so many of the same type. This sewer utility fund, it's going to transfer out 100,000 for the debt service for the sewer revenue bond. And the sewer revenue bond fund is going to receive that money. The one last expenditure is 11,000 for custodial disbursements. This was basically a deposit that was put on, and the contractor has now finished building the public area for their project, and we're just giving that back to them. And so my recommendation is this adoption of this ordinance as summarized in Exhibit A. After this, we'll look at 2020 in November again, in concurrence with the 2021-22 biennial budget development. We're just trucking along, getting all these things taken care of. Anybody have any questions about the budget?
I have a question.
Straightforward.
I hear, was that Tracy Wood?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A few slides back, we were looking at expenditures, and there was a $40,000 expenditure for the middle school. If you could go back about 3 slides.
Going to switch my audio back to the computer and see if it. Oh. Anybody would like to say something and do a test?
Test.
Yep.
Okay, I can hear it again. Go ahead, please.
All right, Heidi, I was curious if you could go back about, I believe, 3 slides, maybe 4, and it was a slide of expenditures, and there was a $40,000 expenditure at the middle school or
Yes.
something. I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
That is for plan review, and maybe Grant, do you want to jump in there?
Sure, I can do that. Thank you. We'd actually tried to amend this slide earlier to clarify a little bit, but that was an in and out fee. We needed to, so plan review services of that scale, we send out oftentimes for consultant review. The revenue that we actually received was about $65,000 for the plan review from the school. So that pays for both the external 40,000 and the internal review from our various departments. So it's an in and out. It's almost a custodial fund, but it's something we had to do. We never budget for that kind of thing because it is an in and out. And if we included that kind of thing, what we try to base it on is single family housing new starts, which is more predictable. When these big projects come in, they always pay for themselves and more. But that would give me the expenditure authority as if a big project was coming in every year when it's not necessary. So we try not to budget for commercial plans, being very, very conservative. But the revenue is there to exceed that recommendation. We only needed to balance it with 30,000 because the other plan review revenues are coming in at or above anticipated.
All right, thank you, Grant. I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you, Grant.
I believe Councilmember DePindo had his actual hand up.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor. Heidi, I noticed on there, and not on, I don't believe it was actually on the slideshow, but regarding the library fund, it was budgeted for 25,000, but it showed no expenditures. I had thought the council approved a budget amendment to make that expenditure for some sort of repair. Is it?
You know, Joe, I'll have to look back on that and get back to you and see, are you looking in the financial report?
Correct.
Or what, okay,
Correct,
yeah, I'll get
financial
back to you on that and
Okay,
see
sounds
what's
good.
up with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Heidi on this one? Okay, this was an advisory for council as asked for by council, and along with the packet that Heidi put together for us, this is really such a much more comprehensive look at the budget as we move along. Appreciate her work on this.
Thank you.
So Heidi, would you like to continue?
I'm just hoping somebody makes a motion to approve it
Do we need to approve this? This is, are we looking
or
at?
adopt the ordinance for the July 2020 proposed budget amendment as summarized in Exhibit A.
Okay, I see what you're doing there. There was no more further proposal. You just would like the 1064 to be approved. So
Yeah.
that's what council would need to do is if they're ready to make the motion to adopt ordinance 1064.
Move to approve ordinance number 1064.
That was Councilmember Blair, second by Councilmember Kaminsky. Now, are there further questions for Heidi? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other opposed?
Aye.
Now, was that an aye to oppose or a late aye to approve?
It was an aye to oppose.
Okay, Councilmember DePindo opposes. Any others? With the quorum that we have, the motion passes.
Okay, so I will move right on into the city B&O tax model ordinance. So
Okay.
this is basically a housekeeping measure. What this is doing is it is bringing mandatory changes to some updated definitions, the service apportionment, and updated references to state statutes. All of the cities that have B&O tax need to approve this. So the business activity, it just removes the section on contracting to align more with the business model license definition. So what the state's trying to do is they're trying to make verbiage consistent throughout the different cities that have the B&O tax. The customer location previously was where the majority of contacts occurred, and now there is a hierarchy of factors that you can run through to decide if the business was done in which B&O tax area. The service apportionment, it changes based on the test and the updated definitions of business activity, customer, and customer location. There's updated references to the state statutes, and they have removed some language and updated others. And my recommendation is it's really straightforward. It's simple, it's state mandated. We just need to adopt the ordinance. And so my recommendation is adoption of ordinance number 1065, model B&O tax ordinance retroactively to January 1st, 2020, as required by House Bill 1059 and 1403. Joe?
Thank you. I agree. I think we need to pass this. It's the state's been actually working on this for a couple years now, and finally got passed last year. And I'm just wondering why we didn't pass it prior to the deadline of January 1, 2020.
Well, it's been a crazy year, Joe, and it just kind of slipped through the cracks. And so we got to go back and do it now.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Curry.
I move adoption of ordinance number 1065, model B&O tax ordinance retroactively to January 1st, 2020, as required by House Bill 1059 and 1403.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kaminsky. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and we have 2 successful ordinances in the books. Thank you again, Heidi.
3 successful, but thank you guys. Appreciate it.
They're just coming so fast. Very good. We will now change mics, and Cody Colt, I think most of you are familiar with Mr. Colt, or Pat Hughes. Who's going to do the presentation tonight?
I am.
All right, Cody. BioDryer.
BioDryer. So what you guys have before you in your packet is a amended contract with Parametrics to include a biosolids improvement and septic receiving station. That includes the BioDryer. This was part of that figured cost we accounted for. This was totally planned. The reason we stuck with Parametrics is it just makes sense to have Parametrics do this since they're already designing the WRF phase 2. So they're going to go ahead and design the plan is for them to also design the BioDryer and the septic receiving station at the same time they're designing that. So it'll be an amendment of about $400,000 to the original contract, and that will justify, or that'll have the full amount needed to engineer the BioDryer and the septic receiving. Any questions? Yes, Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Cody. First of all, the Public Works Board or a committee has already been briefed on this a couple times now. We've discussed it a while. I'm in full support of this. I think it's going to save the city money. But I also want to bring out a point that Cody saves the city some money by, and he's sometimes bashful and doesn't really say all the good things that he does for the city. But one thing he really did amazing for the city was save us money by the meetings. I know that Parametrics was trying to charge us a little bit more, and if Cody wants to go into details about how he saved us some money, go ahead. But suffice to say, he did a great job on efficiency and saving money for the city.
Yeah, just to add to that, Parametrics has been a great advocate too. They've been helping, working with us, and when we came at them with a number we needed to hit, they were very, they listened and they came up with a number that made sense, along with kind of combining some of our meetings we're already doing for the WRF phase 2 to also include those BioDryer meetings. So with a lot of help of Parametrics and Pat and Bill over the plant, we were able to kind of bring this number down. Shout out to them, not just me.
Well, good job, Cody.
Any other questions? Awesome. We'd be looking for the recommendation that's attached to this.
That was him setting the ball on the tee.
Who's got that?
The recommendation would be to authorize Mayor Foster to sign the amended contract for wastewater facility phase 2 engineering design to include a biosolids improvements and a septic receiving station, amount not to exceed $2,400,147.60.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Wood.
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
By Councilmember Curry. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Right. Good job. Yeah, moving forward. What a great project. Okay, that was a lot of new business, well handled. And moving forward, we don't have any old business on the schedule, so we'll start with Mr. Graham for city administrator updates.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Can everyone hear me okay, or should I disconnect my video?
No, you're good.
Perfect.
You're good.
The business grants have all been allocated, and we will provide now a detailed list to anyone that's interested. I would just ask that none of you share it publicly, because some of these folks may not want it publicly known that they applied for these grants. But I just wanted to let you know that it's concluded, and we'll send out the information to all of you. I'll let Tad talk about the details, but before he does, I want to publicly embarrass him. You know, he and EJ and Tracy came together and did a lot of work, but, you know, give credit where credit is due. Tad was annoyingly calling me probably 4 times a day, trying to figure out what we can do and how we can get as many businesses served. He was on top of it, and it was awesome to see all the work that he did with this. I also want to give just credit and appreciation to Kim on our staff, who did a phenomenal job shepherding this forward, providing updated information, and really empowering EJ and Tad and Tracy with the information that they needed to make informed decisions and keep the ball moving forward. So I'll leave it to you, Tad, to provide the details, but I just want to publicly thank you for all your work and everyone else that was a part of that. We also have good news on the hand sanitizer. We have, I think, what was it, 19 gallons were utilized. The mayor just picked up about 20 to go distribute elsewhere. We're putting the rest of it to use at City Hall. I know Councilmember DePino picked up some hand sanitizer and was shepherding it out to folks. So we still have, I think, 16 gallons of hand sanitizer cleaning solution left that people can pick up. Just wanted to make a public shout out for people to come to the Public Works Department, pick it up, or contact a local elected official who will Sherpa that over to your office for a refill. I would leave it up to you, Council, whether or not you want to go forward and buy the second 55-gallon drum that we talked about. Originally, we committed to buying 100 at your request, 100 gallons. We're slowly moving through the first 55-gallon drum. And so I'd leave it up to you of whether you actually want to follow through with that commitment of buying the second 55-gallon drum, as you talked about, or we should just see how fast we can empty the remaining 16 gallons. So something for you guys to think about later. But Councilmember Pino.
Thank you, Mayor. Because we allocated that certain money, we specified how we're going to use it. If we do not spend it, do we have to give any of that money back to the feds, or can we allocate it to somewhere else that we'd like to without doing another motion and all that?
No, that's a great question. One of the things that you may remember us talking about is, you know, we took a large portion of that money and put it towards the community, where 100% of that was really intended for us to use for reimbursing for our own costs. We have plenty of internal expenses that we've already made that we could get reimbursed for. So that money would essentially come back to the city. We would just tack on that, I think, what was it, $2,000 or something like that. Mayor, you picked it up, but it was around $2,000 for a 55-gallon drum. So we'd take that $2,000 and reallocate it towards reimbursing the city for one of our other expenses. Overtime, PP&E, hand sanitizer, cleaning solutions, the spray guards that we put up. There's a whole bunch of things that money would essentially go back to the city for. So it wouldn't be lost revenue. And we're working on the details of that contract with the CARES Act, again, consistent with the authority that the council gave us to execute that. And we'll let you know when that's resolved and share that with all of you. It's quite a detailed process. Wanted to give highlights of 2 new hires that we've made. Stephanie in the police department and Kathy in City Hall. She's heading up our customer service team. Todd, you can just ask him or any of the public safety members. They can't say enough about Stephanie, and same thing with Kathy. You guys will get to meet Kathy at the next study session. She's actually leading the charge to kick into gear a comprehensive process for essentially providing the customer support and staffing, continuity and consistency for all of our boards, commissions that we've all wanted to do for a long time. So she's dusting off the council boards and commissions matrix, which I think is Appendix 13 of your council rules and procedures protocol manual. And she's updating that with the members, the vacancies. She'll update that with the Yelm Municipal Code and provide hyperlinks. And then she'll present that to you all so you can look at what boards are relevant, what are not. And most importantly, as we look to staff those boards, which staff would be assigned to those now that we have a fully staffed administrative team. And how do we go openly recruit members from the community to go participate on all those boards? So it's a very comprehensive and involved process, and we're glad to have someone with Kathy's skill and ability to do that. And so look forward to that at your upcoming meeting here. With that, I also wanted to just highlight a couple of one project in particular. We've had some folks that have asked us about our ball fields there. Is it Longmire? Is that right, Mayor? And we've had some people asking about whether Longmire is open or closed. They went there over the weekend. We wanted to assure people and you, council, in case you got any questions, that Longmire is open. There was a returfing project and drainage project that has been undergoing for a while. And so for public safety, they had the gates closed just to make sure people stayed out of any of those holes and hazards that were there. But those gates are now open. They're going to safely continue their drainage project, and everyone can continue to utilize that park as it was intended to. So in case you have any questions, let us know. And then also just upcoming at one of your meetings, we're going to have a look forward at the budget schedule, and consistent with the resolution that you adopted for establishing a biennial budget, Heidi has prepared a very detailed account of basically breaking down the council meetings of when presentations will come out, when information will flow to you, to the public, when the public hearings will be. So that draft will be shared with you, council, for you to look at and see if that aligns with the original intent that you had. And then we can formally adopt that going forward. And that'll be one of the many inserts that we put into the budget document. So budget season is upon us, and it'll be very fun. One of the other things that I wanted to highlight for your upcoming meetings is we've invited the Thurston County Regional Planning Council to come. As we all know, we talked about every year trying to get some sort of legislative agenda. And so I want to take this opportunity to prime the pump for you all to think about what legislative priorities you have, either as individuals or on the committees that you serve on and the constituents that you represent, and start formulating those ideas. One of the things that's going to be top of our priority list is supporting a transportation package, not only holding the line on the funding that has already been secured to build the Yelm Loop, but adding 3 additional roundabouts that we've been working together with the region to establish. So when that loop bypass goes through, traffic can still flow smoothly throughout the region outside of that bypass. So that's going to be one hot topic, transportation. I'm also going to reach out and invite our legislators to come to that same meeting so they can hear the transportation proposal, and they can listen to all of you of any ideas that you have and you want to share with them. And most importantly, they can give you a legislative update. And I know that's something that some of you have expressed interest in. So we'll try to make that happen for your meeting coming up here at the end of August. So with that concludes my update. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to council member reports, and we'll start with council member Blair.
He was saying he got disconnected. Sorry. He texted me that, and looks like he's back now.
All right, James, are you there? Oh, now he's off again. So we'll move on until he gets his connection repaired. We'll go on to council member Curry.
It's been kind of a nice couple slow weeks. I was both Sundays at the senior center, letting the Rotary in to do their 10 weeks of backpacks for kids for the summer food program. And over those 2 weeks, I had several up to many different phone calls with Chad over our disbursement of the funds. And I'll leave that up to him to report on. And I was at the farmer's market for the past 3 weeks, I think. I like the farmer's market. That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Wood. Tracy, you'll need to unmute.
All righty, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. The only meeting I had was this afternoon, and it was the public safety meeting. And we talked about a lot of really great stuff. We got a DOT has established a couple of traffic cams for the purpose of emergency traffic flow through town that is monitored by only DOT at this point, but there's future plans to have the availability to be able to access that through the DOT site. Also, we learned that we've got a new gun shop in town that is looking to have a firing range in their future. And that's what I have for a report at this moment. It's also been like I said, relative, like Council Member Curry mentioned, it's been a slow week or a couple of weeks. The way the weeks landed this month, meetings started early and rapid fired. So I look forward to next month's meetings and getting some more information to bring back to the council.
Well, great, thank you. I somehow skipped over Councilmember Stillwell. Sorry I did that to you, Tad. Would you go ahead, please?
Sure. Last week, I attended the study meeting. A lot of great things happening in our region. Again, George really gave us a shout out for our the way we funded our CARES, used our CARES money. Things are looking pretty good. The county was able to, they're not going to lose a huge amount of revenue because of the destination tax that they believe they're going to be receiving. So that's pretty positive news for them. They won't be as affected, I don't think, as the local cities. Then today, excuse me, I attended the Public Safety Committee, and we will have new vehicles arriving this Friday. So they'll start switching those out. And we did talk about the administrative assistant. Interesting thing that says a lot about our department. There was, I think, 65 applicants for that job, which is really amazing. And I believe it says a lot about our city and our department that that many people are interested in employment. And we picked the best. Stephanie Colton, I think you pronounce her name, but sounds like she's really hit the ground running, and pretty fortunate to have her. The last thing on that is we were briefed on a part of our municipal code that does include from 1999 a police advisory committee or police advisory board. So there's language in our municipal code already that was revisited. We revisited it back in 2016. I remember after Chief Stansel talked about it, but we really didn't, I don't think we had a lot of interest, but I think that would be different right now. So if we can, we'll probably see that at a study session so we can kind of move forward on it, and hopefully we can get some people involved and multi-pronged thing. We can get that squared away, which will help us come in compliance with that initiative 940 that I spoke about last week as well. And then lastly, on the grants, I know that I've talked a lot about it, and I know everybody's probably tired of hearing my voice about it. I again appreciate EJ Curry and Tracy and Kim and Heidi, actually everybody that's helped me with this. And it's really been a really good experience, really difficult one as well. And I will also say that when this report comes out, we need to be mindful that the reason that some people weren't able to receive the money is they weren't in compliance. So meaning they either couldn't or hadn't been able to do one thing or another, and usually it's financial. So I think it's very important that we are professional about it and mindful that some people may not want their names out there, that they even applied for it. So it'll be a really good report. Kim is working on it, and Heidi, and it'll show every phone call, every email, dates, times that have been reached out to people, and the conversations, a brief summary. So there'll be no questions, or shouldn't be, of why people did or didn't receive the grant money. Hopefully we get more and we can continue on the list of people that we have. That's kind of the goal, and hopefully everybody's recovered enough. But if we get more money, we have more people in the pipeline that we could help out. So that's really all I have on it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ted. Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of going off those business grants, realizing that the Yelm business grants are running out here ran out. I did want to bring folks to attention of the Thurston County's business grants that the EDC's conducting and administering. You can check it out on their site, on the EDC. They have a link to it. It's similar amounts, I believe. I think it's a little less generous than ours, but it's a little more open with some of the requirements that proof of stuff that you have to show and all that stuff. So pretty simple to sign up for it. I'd highly recommend going to EDC website and checking those out. They were opened last week, And other than that, I spoke to everyone besides, sorry, Councilmember Kaminsky, regarding the council retreat. I'll be sending out an email though, if everyone's still good with it. It's hopefully we can do something. I'd like to see it in Ocean Shores, somewhere a little bit further away. We can do a lot of team building exercises, but on August 22nd, do an overnighter. And I know there's a couple of you that had concerns with the costs and all that. Luckily, we have enough money in our training budget to, if we want to use that, or I would recommend just going ahead and spending it out of your own pocket if you could. Have a roommate and save the costs. Right now, hotels are pretty cheap in Ocean Shores, and we could socially distance. We could be safe with that, and we can meet the requirements regarding Open Meetings Act and also COVID updates as well, or COVID proclamations from the governor. So I think we can do this in a safe way, but I'll send an email and see if everyone's still good to go on it. Got good reception from the vast majority of council members. So hopefully we can go ahead and get that done and start working more together as a team here on council. And other than that, secure mailbox program, got 20 people signed up for it now. We're ready to go. I do have a request though, that hopefully the city, we would reconsider not spending any money on it or doing anything with public works, but perhaps holding them when Councilmember Blair and I go up and get these mailboxes, and maybe putting them in public works, maybe they're a storage unit or something, just for a couple days as we, as the Councilmember Blair and I go ahead and ship these out, hand deliver these, and install some of them. Just, I hope it doesn't take a long time, but I'm not sure how long it would take to install this. Hopefully not over hours or 2 hours, but that would be appreciative. I don't know if we need an actual council resolution or anything for that. And the other thing I was going to do was ask the council if we might be able to, and the mayor too, he's probably the one that I need to be asking this, is if we could use the city as a central location for people to send checks to or send money to. So we could have one simple order, one check going in, and also so folks can, I mean, I'm a pretty trustworthy guy, but I think it would be more legitimate if we could give that to if they could send their checks into the city, and the city could give one check off to the mailbox company. I'm not sure what would be required to do that, but it wouldn't cost the city anything other than, I suppose collecting perhaps some staff time, but I imagine it would be minimal. The 20 orders, got names, numbers, addresses, all that stuff that the city might need. But I think it would instill a little more confidence in some of the folks that are providing checks or money orders rather than just giving me all this money.
Yeah, I'll have you continue that conversation with Michael over the course of this next week to see if we can help you with that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor. And I'll go ahead and finish my report. Thank you. That's it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Councilmember Kaminsky.
I attended the finance meeting and worked with the presentation that Heidi just gave on the budget. And to Council Curry's point, the BFF, Bounty for Families, was selected, I believe, by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Farmers to Families Box Food Program. And they have been distributing 140 boxes a week, I think, to Yelm of organic fresh produce, and it's being distributed by Bounty for Families and the Rotary to people that are in need of food. So that's a wonderful thing that we got approved for.
Councilmember
Yes.
Kaminsky, Joe has a question.
Oh, thanks. Councilmember Kaminsky, is this the one that's being at the Yelm Prairie Christian Center that's being administered? It's not? I don't know if it was related to that, but I saw tons of cars, probably like 50 or 100 lined up today getting some of those. I just want to say that's awesome.
I know they go to Clearwood and they distribute through, I think, Nisqually Pines and a couple of other locations. So yeah,
those are
fantastic.
Those are two different programs, Joe. The Yelm Prairie Christian Center has their own program that they're handing out, like you said, many people there. Of course, we still have the Yelm Food Bank, which is also doing their thing on Thursdays. And this is the Rotary and Bounty for Families that are doing the one with on Tuesdays at the City Park.
Cool.
No reason for anybody to be hungry in Yelm these days.
No. And then lastly, I attended the Nisqually River Council all-day retreat. The minutes were 10 pages long, so I'll just give you a briefing. They are looking to extend membership to the cities of Lacey and the cities of Olympia and any other surrounding area people that might benefit from joining the group. And they're also moving forward with the incorporation of the Nisqually Planning Unit to be under the NRC as a standing committee. It's some internal change there that's going on. And then David, our chief organizer, and the tribe met with the company Patagonia, and they're discussing ways that they can partner. And if they partner, then they've got like 1 million subscribers to their newsletter. So the tribe is very excited about the communication that could go back and forth between these organizations. And then Joe Kane is going to be replaced by Jeanette Dorner. I don't know this lady, but apparently she has a long-standing relationship with the tribe. Do you know her, JW?
Yeah, you don't replace Joe Kane.
No, well, that's true. That's true.
Jeanette Dorner has a very long association with the tribe and with the Nisqually River Council, and she was like the perfect person to take over and lead the Nisqually Land Trust into the future. Very good choice.
Great, great. And I'm sure everybody's going to miss Joe because he is extraordinary. He is like the face of that organization. And then lastly, David Trout was nominated to serve another year as the chair. So that's great. And that's all I'm going to say because it's too long.
No, good report. And nice to see that David Trout is willing to serve multiple terms in that very important role. His institutional knowledge and experience is essential to keeping that organization on track. So thank you for that. For my report, I have a few things. Last on the 21st, we had a group come in from the 448 Civil Affairs Unit from JBLM. This is a group that's familiar to Councilmember Stillwell, as it's what he does with the Army Reserve as well. And this group needed to do an exercise on how they would go into a municipality that had been hurt by natural or even man-made disasters such as war, and help them find resources, find collaboration with other agencies, and get back on their feet. So it was kind of a last-minute thing. They contacted me with just a week's notice because their regiment had said, hey, guess what, company, you have to do your own training. And Tad, again, should know how that works. And so this sergeant was able to contact me, and we put together a really good exercise. Cody Colt and Michael Graham joined me in that meeting, and it was mutually beneficial. We got to really help each other understand our roles. So always nice to work with the military. I watched a webinar just yesterday put on by the AWC on the CARES Act Relief Fund spending. And it was very interesting to me to hear that most of the cities in the state of Washington who received funds similar to us for the CARES Act have not expended them. They were still kind of wondering how exactly to do it. Larger cities like Bremerton and Spokane Valley were still trying to get their council to agree on ways to spend the money. And it made me very proud of this council in this city and how quickly we were able to mobilize those monies to get into the hands of the folks who need them in our community. So yeah, really kind of a cool deal. When we've been handing out those grant checks, it's probably, Kimberly Rocker and I agree, it's probably one of the most rewarding things we've done in our roles in the city to be able to so directly help people. So really cool. So we had a fire yesterday, Sunday, at the shiplap shop. There's an electrical fire in the wall. And big shout out to one of our former students of the month, Walter Weavedow. He was working there. He smelled a little smoke, investigated, found where the fire was coming out of the wall, realized it was electrical in nature, shut off the breaker, made the 911 call. I mean, his action probably saved that city block, that old historic building. Southeast Thurston Fire Authority got there within just a few minutes. And as they were arriving, dozens of citizens had run into the scene, including two of our finest, Officer Devin Taylor and Reserve Officer Mike Baker responded, and outside their normal duties, ran into the building to help citizens and the staff pull the stock out to try to preserve it from the smoke and water damage that would ensue from the firefighting efforts. A great collaborative effort. Nobody got hurt. And actually, Shiplap was able to start selling coffee and donuts again this morning from outside their building. So talking about resiliency and just a whole community effort. Terry?
Yeah, JW. Wait.
You there? No, you muted yourself again. There you go.
Okay, I just happened to pass by today and speak to Gary, the owner, and he was literally moved to tears by the outreach and love from the community. He was just blown away at what happened. So yay, Yelm. Good job.
Absolutely. And that is a great place to end this meeting. I hope everybody enjoys the heat coming up, and we'll see you soon.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. See y'all later.